I wanted to talk about our new look and feel. So here it is. This is the homepage. When you first log in, this is what you'll see. Um, a lot of it looks just like the old look and feel, plus a lot of navigation on the side. So you'll still see the side classrooms and pages, the activity. Um, but on every other page here, this left view, this classrooms and pages section that was on the old original website will be gone. And instead, you'll just have this leftmost um, part of the screen here. And it won't change. So you'll always have home, activity, progress and plan, children, etc. if you are a staff member. So if you actually want to enter some activity, like this is a good overview of what's going on. Look at your pages the same way you always could jump to a classroom. Um, you probably actually just want to either click on activity or click on the classroom you want to enter activity in. So let's go ahead and click on activity. And you'll see all the classrooms here that you have access to. You can jump to yours if you actually want to enter some observations. And here, something's changed. You can just say, Elizabeth worked on Pink Tower and keeps working the way it always did. So let's keep going. Progress and plan shows, well, actually, before we do, one thing that's changed about the navigation here, though, is on the top left, right here, it shows you what classroom you're in. So if you want to switch classrooms really quickly, if you're an administrator and you want to switch around, you can. And that's going to come more useful on other screens, I think. So let's go ahead and go to progress and plan. So we used to call this the classroom progress page or the grid view. So now the little icon shows you a grid. Um, and this is, again, same page as before, just in a different place. You can get to it. And same as before, you can select a bunch of things and change what color the grid is. You can save here. On every page, the main actions for the page are on the top right there, like that save button was. Uh, the key has moved to here, and it has a few more um, what's going on and a little bit more descriptions here. That is hopefully helpful. Um, we kept getting questions about what master rule lesson was versus ongoing and why practice only made sense for ongoing lessons, but mastered lessons had introduced and mastered. So hopefully this is a little bit more uh, understandable. Plus, people were curious what the flag was, so it's all in the key now, and it's out of your way unless you actually click on it. To actually go to a lesson plan to print one out, click on this guy, and then here you can have same formats as before, but here you start seeing like a little bit of how pages are structured. So you'll have, um, if it belongs to a classroom, usually a classroom, that'll be in the top left. So this is the lesson plan for the Forest classroom. We could go to the Redwood classroom if we want. Um, the different pages kind of within this progress and plan are progress and plan for us, and also this print lesson plan, and then some filters live over here. So here you can choose how you actually see this data, and if there's any actions, they're right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at children. We'll see a little bit more here. So here on the children page, again, it's kind of what it was before. One thing that's new here, before it was within a classroom, you could see all the children. Now you can see the classroom, all the children for any classroom or for all classrooms. So again, as an administrator, this might be actually pretty useful to be able to see that. Um, Also, birthdays and forms, we had that functionality before, but again, you could see it across all classrooms if you wanted to. You can switch very easily between them. So you want to print this out. This page, by the way, is meant to be printed, the birthdays page. So it's meant to be printed out, put on the wall, and now you have a list of your children's birthdays. So there's that. And this is sortable as ever. I think some people don't know that you can actually select a bunch of children and then email their parents. So you should know that you can do that. There's some information on the blog about how to do that and how to set that up. It might just work for you, but if it doesn't, I encourage you to go to the blog and check out how to do that. And that's blog.transparentclassroom.com. All right. So again, there's a filter on the top right here, so you can see current children or children of previous sessions. That's helpful. If you want to go to a particular child, you can just scroll down until you see them. And a faster way to go instead of like actually just clicking Elizabeth Samuels might just be to go up to the search and just type her name in because you can do that from anywhere. So once you go to a child's actual page, again, very similar to before. Difference is the navigation is on top now for the child. And we try to make some of the language a little bit more consistent. So this is the child progress page. Um, if you haven't seen conference reports, go check it out. There's some cool new progress reports. Um, and then same with standards. Some of you may not have seen this. And if it's important to you to have the core standards, we actually have them baked in, so you can actually see if you've mapped some of your lessons to them, or if you have a primary classroom, you'll see our mappings, see how your child is doing relative to those standards. So all of that. Again, you can go back and see how. Like again, this is the filter, right? So here you can filter for different grades of standards. On the progress screen, you can filter for different classrooms, right? So say she was in the forest classroom before. Sorry, this is the forest classroom. Say she's also in the redwood classroom. You'd be able to filter and see what her progress is in the redwood classroom, and that just seems like it's helpful. Um, all right, so let's go ahead and go to, yeah, that's redwood classroom. Let's go to lessons. So lessons again looks very similar to before. Um, And again, we're skipping the kind of intermediate screen where you have to choose which lessons you're looking at. And so it just jumps to one of the lessons, the lesson sets. And you can switch very quickly up here between the different lesson sets. Um, just one difference is this edit organize. I think this was a little confusing the way it was before. If you haven't seen this, if you click on organize, these are movable, so you can reorder them. And then edit is where you go to edit lessons. So for the most part, that hasn't really changed, so I'm going to keep going. Photos looks a whole lot like it did before. We made the photos a little bit smaller. And again, you could look at photos across all classrooms, just individual classrooms, etc. Um, there's not a whole lot more that's here. Oh, yeah, actually there is. If you go to a particular classroom, then you can also add photos. So you can upload photos. If you haven't seen this, this is really fast. It used to time out if you're trying to do more than like 4 or 5 at a time. Now you can select a whole bunch of photos and let me grab a few. Let me find a couple good example photos. So these are just some photos I happen to have on my drive, so you can go ahead and upload them. Like it's super fast, and you can do multiple at the same time. And it seems like it kind of works a lot better than it was working. Um, the one caveat there is it takes about 10 minutes to process the photos. So you're just getting to wait a second before you see them in the application, but it does mean you don't have to keep going back and forth and refreshing the page, etc. Also, if we go back, um, there's also this iPhone Android. So this is new as well. Well, the iPhone app is not new, although we are about to refresh it. Android is new. If you are an Android device or actually any other kind of device, you can email any photos to this email address, and it's going to be different for each classroom. So in order to get this email address, what you'll have to do is you'll have to go to the photos, go to the classroom that you care about, click on this link, and it'll give you the email address for that classroom. Any photos you upload there, classroom will get, and it'll take 10 minutes, but then they'll be there. So again, you can do that from any Android device, Windows Phone, or even from your computer if you want. So photos. Take a look at attendance. No big changes here, except that you can see attendance across all classrooms, which some of you guys were asking for. So we're happy to say that that now works. Um, is there a question? All right. Reports, pretty much the same as ever. Um, again, the navigation is up here now, so once you're in the reports view, you can switch around classrooms pretty quickly, or you can switch which report you're looking at. And then let's go ahead and look at directory. So this is a little bit different, and this is one of the screens that shows up for parents. um, just not with everything that's in here, obviously. So again, for the directory, you can look at all classrooms. You can look at just one classroom. And we separated it so you can look at just the parents or just the staff or family members. And also we've added the same kind of email functionality that you had with the children here, so you could actually say select all staff except Carrie and Elizabeth and email them all, right? And so hopefully that's making life a little bit simpler. Or you can just do it the other way around and unselect everyone and email these 5 people. And so hopefully that's, like I said, making life a little bit easier. And yeah. So again, it's a lot of the same functionality, but hopefully it's a little bit more accessible. If you are an admin, you'll also see this admin button. It's probably worth talking about classroom balancing. A lot of the other things that were in different other places are just here now. So sessions, classrooms, lesson sets. Let's go there first, actually. So sessions is about setting up the current session, like 2014, 15, making something else the current session, that kind of thing. Classrooms is just a list of the classrooms and what's going on in them. Um, one thing, if you haven't seen this in a while, if you go to edit a classroom, there's some privacy, parent access settings that you can change here. Lesson sets, it's the same thing. If you go to edit a lesson set, there's some parent access settings you can change there. And then probably the last thing that you may not have seen if you haven't been looking around in a while is classroom balancing. If you forget what I'm about to say, there's a tour right here. So you can definitely just click this tour and just follow through. So the Admitted Children tab, choose which graph you're looking at. You can look at applications and add potential students. So let's just take a look at the screen. Let's go ahead and look at, I think there's some applications in here. Maybe next year. There we go. So if we're looking at this year, we can actually go through and change which classroom a child is in. That changes the graph. We can go to applications and pretend a child is in one classroom or the other, or take them out. You can change the application state from submitted to ready to offered. If we go from ready to offered, it will actually ask us and prompt us to create a child automatically for us. If you don't use applications, you could do this anyway because it's pretty fast. You go ahead and just create a child, say Albert Enriquez. Oops, 12. And I think gender is the last one that's important. Go ahead and hit enter. And that's it to create a new child, right? You don't have to fill out the rest of the application. Once you've done that, though, you can start playing what-if scenarios with Albert. Like maybe he's ready, and maybe we are thinking about putting him in the forest classroom or in the redwoods classroom. And maybe that throws off our classroom balance mix, so maybe we want him in the forest classroom. Maybe you want to edit some notes. Parents. School. um, etc. So uh, we're hoping this makes life a little bit easier. And again, there's actually a blog entry on just this one feature, the classroom balancing feature. So hopefully, if this wasn't enough to get you started, you can go check that out as well. So that was a little bit of a whirlpool of like what's out there. Um, looks like we have a couple people on, but I'm not sure if anyone's actually able to hear the audio or at least to speak. Are there any questions? Okay. If you missed the beginning of this, we are recording it, so we're gonna post this to the website. Um, so we'll do that. Definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm around actually most of today, so I'm available then, and Katrina and I are always available to talk quickly. Oh, actually, in that vein, the feedback tab that used to be on the right, kind of in the way, got moved to down here. So also, if you have questions or comments, you can always click on feedback and enter ideas, comments, etc. here. And that's always something that we look at. And if it's something quick, we'll get back to you right away. So please don't hesitate to do that. And thank you very much.